So it is November the 7th, which means happy N7 Day or happy Mass Effect Day. And I just want to take the time to talk about one of the greatest games, or one of the greatest bits of a game that we just didn't deserve at the time. I am, of course, not talking about the main campaign of Mass Effect 3, even though I still think it's pretty good and they fixed a lot of it with the director's cut, but I am talking about the Mass Effect multiplayer game. And I call it a game, or a separate game, because it mainly is. It came in every single issue of Mass Effect 3 and was it's just the multiplayer function of Mass Effect 3, and it was so good. It honestly is incredible how good this game was, and none of us deserved that level of quality for a game in 2012. If you cast your mind back to 2012, you can probably remember the absolute hype, the build up to Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect 2 is probably one of the greatest sci-fi roleplay games ever, and then the build up to Mass Effect 3 and everything, all the expectations behind it were immense. And they announced before the game came out that there was going to be a multiplayer element to the game, and everyone just sort of was like, cool, but I probably won't play that, is what everyone thought that. But then you actually got a chance to play it when the game came out, and yeah, it's Horde mode, but it was so good. It took everything good about Horde mode from the Gears franchise and just made it great. And they added so much additional things to this game, different classes, different races, different species, just so many great things that you could do. They brought back all of enemies that weren't in the main game. They came back into the multiplayer in a Horde mode. It was honestly some of the best Mass Effect experiences I've ever had. Now, the footage you are seeing is from the isn't just me playing this on the Series S, backwards compatible for the 360, and I did have a lot of trouble trying to find a game with other players. So a lot of this is just me trying to play solo for some point, and it is very hard to play this game solo. If you know anything about the Mass Effect multiplayer, it was brutal. Like, they went hard on it. But there's just so many classes and options that you can play. It kind of makes up for it, and it's still pretty fun to play now, even on the solo. And if you can get a few mates together, I recommend it. Just go for it. It's really good. But I was playing the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer pretty much up until 2020. I was still every now and again would just load it up and be like, yeah, let's see who's online, and we'd get a few friends playing it. And it was just fantastic for what it was. For something you had absolutely no expectations for, they went hard, and it really shows. The gun gameplay in Mass Effect 3 was spectacular as well. They really nailed all of the abilities and how they balanced it. I say that the Geth Juggernaut is still ridiculously overpowered, but the normal characters are so well balanced. The guns are great, the different variety, the enemies are ridiculous when they get to the later waves. And some of the best memories I have of Mass Effect 3 comes from just loading up with your mates and just going Horde mode for hours on end playing the Horde mode. The maps were really good. They're nice, compact and small, where you always know where everyone else is and you can see where the enemies are easily. It's just such a well-designed game. There were bits from the main campaign used as multiplayer maps, and there were also other bits just used from just standalone ones that had just appeared. And I can't say much more. It was just incredible, the amount of detail I went into a off-the-cuff multiplayer game. And one of the really cool things about the multiplayer, the more you played the multiplayer, it actually added to your galactic readiness and affected the storyline of the main campaign, which was a nice little touch. It was a bit of an incentive to play the game, which they've, with the later releases of the Mass Effect Remaster or whatever it's called, the definitive edition, they've taken out the multiplayer, which is such a shame because it's so good. You've got so many great characters like the Turian, and at the moment this is the Turian shock trooper, who just has jets. You can just fly around and just smash into people. He's like a weird Boba Fett type character. It was really good, and just a welcome addition to the lore of Mass Effect. There was so many lore ideas that were put in through the multiplayer, and then like expanded on in other media, and like this, like, just stuff like that. But nothing is more fun than like throwing yourself across the map to absolutely blitz into an enemy. Now, looking online, I did, like I said previously, have some trouble actually connecting to a party for the Xbox 360 version of this game, but from what I hear, there's still a big community on the PC version that play this regularly. So if you've got this on PC, there's more than a good chance that you'll have like teammates and not just have to go it solo like I was doing. And that's just such like a sign of relief for me, because honestly, if you have never played this multiplayer, it is great. Like, there's so much you can do in the multiplayer that added to like just the overall gun gameplay of the main campaign. There were so many new weapons, there were so many new classes, you had all of the new N7 like troops that came in, so like the other so in the lore of Mass Effect, Commander Shepard is part of an elite human like alliance fighting force called the N7 troopers, and the N7, you can see the other N7 troopers in this game. So you get like the paladin, the assassin, there's like loads of them. They're great, they're so cool. Some of them are like biotics, others are tech based, and there was all these new abilities that came out that you don't get in the main campaign. And yeah, it was just an absolute blast of a time. I have some of the greatest memories. Even when I was at university, this game had been out for like 4 or 5 years at that point, and I was at university, and there was a few of us in our dorms that would just load up this game and just play it for hours on end. Absolutely one of the best memories I had of university is playing Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, which is such a weird thing to think about because the game by that point was a few years old. And BioWare knew that they had such a big fan base still playing the multiplayer because expansion packs came out for this continuously, that they left so much support for the multiplayer. There was multiple packs, there were map packs. Most of them came out completely free as well. Like there was the Retribution, Retaliation, Earth, I think one of them was just called, where they brought out new characters, new things, and it was all for free. There were microtransactions to buy like special loot boxes, because this was like in the peak of loot boxes where you would like have to spend either in-game credits, which you just accumulate over the game, or you could use your real-world money. And that's how you unlocked all the other classes, which is a little bit meh, but you know, it's what it was at the time. That's every game was doing that, so I don't really blame it too much. Unfortunately, if you go back to it now, none of the prices have changed, so there's not much point in like buying Spectre packs or whatever they're called when they cost like 3 or 4 quid in real life for a game that's more or less dead. So if you were to play this now, you may not get a chance to play some of the cooler classes or some of the epic classes that you get, or even find any of the super rare classes as well. But this was your chance to play as like Solarians, your Krogans, your Turians. You had so many options that you could play as, and it was just like, it was what everyone wanted. I feel like that's like this is what the people wanted, is to see other classes. The multiplayer did make a return in Mass Effect Andromeda, and I still quite like the Mass Effect Andromeda game. I think the gameplay, the actual gunplay and the combat is much better than the other Mass Effect games. And the multiplayer is like, I was playing some of it today, like it's still you can find people on the Xbox that still play the Mass Effect Andromeda multiplayer, but it just doesn't quite capture that same like feeling of playing Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. There was something so special about this. It just felt like it wasn't even unique. I can't even claim it was unique, because Gears of War was doing Horde way before this, and even like Halo had a Horde mode at this point as well. So that's another video that I'm going to talk about. There was in Halo Reach, there was some of my favourite multiplayer like matches that just never really caught on, talking about Invasion particularly. And the less said about whatever the Warzone thing was in Halo 4, 5? Halo 5, I think it was, had a weird like multiplayer Horde mode, which was a bit naff. But somehow they made these Horde modes feel a lot more personal. Probably because this is, to my memory, the first time that there was a Horde mode that had objectives. Like every now and again, every couple of levels, you get like a boss character turn up and the wave doesn't end until the boss dies, or you had to eliminate certain targets quickly. to get additional points, and it just added like a little bit extra, a little bit more fun to just standard box like horde mode. One of the absolute stranger things about this as well is when you look at reviews for Mass Effect at the time, yeah, it got a lot of like 10 out of 10 reviews, 9 out of 5 reviews, and so on, and it's like overall Metacritic is like sitting at 93, which is still pretty good. It doesn't often mention the multiplayer, and that to me is crazy, because this was like some of the best bits of Mass Effect was the multiplayer. I would absolutely love to hear anyone that had like experiences playing the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, because I've got so many stories about this, just like teaming up with mates, taking down, like going on platinum mode, which is the hardest difficulty, and trying to take down like Cerberus or Geth or even the Collectors, even the Reapers, which were some of the hardest enemies. Trying to like, to this day, the shriek of the Banshee is still like ingrained in my mind and brings fear. But yeah, I would absolutely love to hear anyone's experiences playing this game, and also I would like to know how many unlockable characters you had, because I've still not met everyone that has played, like had all of the characters unlocked. I think the rarest character I had unlocked was the Volus. I think I had like a Volus Adept. That was pretty cool. A little mole man running around with like orbs of biotic energy. I definitely had quite a lot of the N7 troops. This is one of them in the capture footage at the moment. I had an additional like samurai sword, like katana, that you could just cut enemies up, which was such a cool thing, because you didn't really get that in the main story. You just had the Omni Blade, which is cool but not that cool. And I would also like to know if anyone went on to carry on playing this multiplayer game, or still plays it at the moment, the multiplayer mode, or carried on to go to Mass Effect Andromeda, and what they thought. Like, what do you think the difference is, the reason why Mass Effect Andromeda didn't capture this same energy and fun that Mass Effect 3 multiplayer had? I am happy to discuss or debate. If you think the Andromeda multiplayer is better, please let me know, because I'm happy to discuss that. But yeah, that's my video for N7 Day, or Mass Effect Day. I just wanted to really talk about Mass Effect multiplayer, because it is not talked about enough, and how fun it was. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. As always, I'm going to be bringing out plenty of retro gaming videos, or just gaming videos. They'll be out more or less every weekday. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.